Good evening, everyone, and that wave was for Ryan. He asked yesterday what happened to our wave, so definitely gonna keep up the waves every day from here on out. So yeah, it's Sunday night. We are actually having a frost here on our farm tonight, so we actually did double covers on a bunch of stuff, closed stuff up tight, made sure we opened all the water spigots and all the valves and stuff, drained the water out so they won't blow apart. But yeah, kind of a little bit unusual, a little bit late for us to be getting this cold, but we've got a freeze warning on. So, all right, let's dive into some questions. The first question is from Travis Crowder, and Travis asks, is it worth time, disease, etc., cleaning your six-packs after transplanting for reuse? If so, what's your fastest method to ensure all the medium is washed away for sterilization? The most difficult part for me is that the soil line takes manual soil removal, water pressure too low. All right, so yeah, Travis, don't worry about it. Especially if you are using a organic mix. And so here's the thing, is if you're using a sterile mix, you've got the good guys and the bad guys, fighting all the time. But if you've got a good organic mix, you've got a lot more good guys than bad guys usually. So that's, to us, is we're just always trying to leave that biome going, and then we'll use some, Actinovate and Soil Serenade, or, what's the other one we like? But there's a couple different ones out there, beneficial bacteria you can spray on it. Your transplants that we like, that we really like to really kind of help the transplants along. But yeah, we just go ahead and put our trays back in the storage every year. It's, again, too, if you're really worried about it, you can leave them out in the sunlight for a couple days after you've used them, and that would be great for me too. But you are saying you're using six-packs, and I would not recommend six-packs for production. Usually we're using like a standard 10 by 20 tray, or one of the, like a Plantel or Speedlean or a Windstrip, or one of those other more commercial size scale trays. So that's anyway what I'll say on that. All right, next question is, let's see, where's my next question here? Kyle asks, he said, when is the right time to raise prices? Seems like inputs go up every year. True. Very rarely do I see seed from Johnny's or High Mowing go up. It usually goes up every year. Bulk compost just went up from $27 a yard to $30 a yard, and trucking went up from $600 to $900. Ouch! That's 50%. Seems like most suppliers are always steadily increasing prices. However, the retail market has not budged much. We have brought down weights on greens mix on the retail side just slightly. That's a good way to do it, a good way to get it to start bringing those sizes of the bags down a little bit. So easy way to increase your price per pound without really affecting the market price. But wholesale prices per pound have not gone up in the past 10 years, just are in a very competitive local market, not to mention cheap imports. Ooh, gosh, that's a loaded question, and it's an excellent question because it's one that we see, a lot of people struggle with, is that raising the prices. And if you look at farming in general, and obviously this is a lot bigger conversation, I may take just one night just to go into this deep dive, just because this is a huge question for people. But the big thing for me is, prices on a lot of farm crops have not raised in the last 50 years. If you go look at historic prices of corn, historic prices of beef, historic prices of, pork, prices are staying steady. And the problem is the expenses have gone up. Your insurance has gone up. Your land prices have gone up. You used to pay 50 years ago hundreds of dollars per acre. Now you're paying thousands, if not tens of thousands, if not $100,000 an acre in some areas of the country. Talk to my friend in Phoenix, Eric Schultz. His land down there is out of control. I mean, California land is out of control. Some of the eastern states on the seaboard, out of control. So, all right, so how do you do this? Obviously, you have to raise prices because, the one thing on our farm is we were always able to make a little bit more money as we kept getting more and more efficient. And as our farm grew and we got, more things straightened out, we got more efficient, which meant we were spending less on our inputs. But you still need to raise your prices too. So, one thing you can do is raise a couple prices every single year. So on our farmers market, we would take a look at what we felt had been stagnant for a while, and then raise those prices just a little bit. Another way to raise prices is maybe switch varieties. So change some varieties up so they're new and different, and then you can raise the prices on those. Another thing to do is really look at what your customer is interested, what your customer wants, what your customer needs, and how you can serve that area better. So for wholesale wholesale salad mix customer, do they need it in a different size bag? Do they need it could you add in edible flowers, and would that make them more happy? Can you offer it a different day of the week than everyone else? So one of the farms I was working with is they were telling me, well, everyone else in town delivers on a Friday, so we started delivering on Tuesday. And so that meant that, coming off the weekend, they're looking to cooler Monday, see what they needed, and then their farm drove in on Tuesday and was able to bring in the product. So, there's a book out there, and I will list it in the show notes here below, that I think it's called Pumpkin Patch or something like that, but I recently listened to it. I thought it was incredible, and it really got me thinking on how we're crafting our business to make it serve people better. But I will definitely list that. It was definitely worth the listen or the read. But yeah, this is something that needs to be dealt with more. And the other thing is, farming is the only business where you're usually paying retail for everything and selling wholesale. So that always never really makes sense to me either. So, all right, next question is from Melanie. Melanie asks, when following organic practices but not getting certified, how do you brand or describe your product? It always turns into a 5-minute description at markets. Been there, done that. Would chemical-free be the correct term since everything applied is non-synthetic from natural sources? Whew, can of worms here. Our standard stock answer, and not that I think it's technically legal according to organic, is we would say we grow everything according to the organic standards, although we're not certified organic. And that was usually kosher for everyone. Everyone was like, okay, we get it. But we would also say we have a 24/7, 365 open door policy. You're more than welcome to come out to our farm, walk around, look at our chemical cabinet. We eat our product, so we're taking the best care of it we possibly can. It's another way to do it. Another way would be to go with one of the alternative licensing. So there's something called certified naturally grown you could go ahead and go after, and I will write that in the show notes as well. Animal wellness approved. There's a few out there. Of course, no one's perfect, but certified organic is way not perfect anyway. So, yeah, it's just frustrating all around. But I hope that helped, Melanie. Let's jump on to another one. All right, Bethany asks, it's going below 0 tonight, and I'm assuming that's Celsius. Yes, it is. Maybe even -4 to 5 Celsius in our valley. Do I need to cover my garlic? I think we've had it heavily frosted before, and it's got straw covering the bulbs. Yeah, Bethany, you're fine. Garlic is pretty much indestructible. The only thing that can really harm it is if you've been really super warm, like in your 80s, and then all of a sudden it dives, and it goes really, really cold and windy. So if it froze, and then you had wind at night, I would definitely be concerned. But if it's only going that, it's going to dip down, going to be still at night, I think you'll totally be fine. All right. And Chas, I think it's Chas Edens asks, will you all share your favorite methods for carrot cultivation? We're growing 2 successions of 6 300-foot rows for a 200-member CSA, so scale-appropriate suggestions, pictures, and videos are extra credit. So we've grown carrots anywhere from, like a 25-foot bed up to a third of an acre at a time. So we've definitely got a ton of scale and also a little small and figured out what works and what doesn't. Carrots are a fun crop. One of my actually top 5 crops, I would say. But for me, carrots are so fun because they get that great taproot. So you can use a lot of tine weeding on them and do great. So we would tine weeders every single week. But to grow the perfect stand of carrots, and not saying you will if you follow this method, but this is how we did a pretty good job. And we were getting 2 pounds per row foot, or about 40,000 pounds an acre with this method. So our standard prep for carrots was to do a fall cover crop of rye and vetch. That was mowed a couple times and then plowed. So we were looking about 6 weeks before we were planting, so mid-May. So we were trying to turn that over pretty deep, or we didn't have to plow it. If you mowed it a couple times and then chiseled and rototilled mid-May, you were normally okay, all right? So then we would wait about 3 weeks, allow it to break down, and then we'd go ahead and form up our beds and fertilize at that time. So now we're 21 days before seeding time. So after about 10 days, we're going to come back through and form those beds again and disturb the top inch or two. We had a bedder which had, tines in it, so they would actually just disturb the top couple inches, or inch and a half. And then the last 10 days would be a stale seed bed, then we'd go ahead and plant. And if we could, we would row cover at this time as well. And even before, because we don't want the crust to get too much before we have to seed. And if you're seeding into that crusty soil, what really helps is to have opening disc shoes. So we had a multi-row Jang seeder with that opening disc shoes, so 2 discs in front, and it's more expensive, but gosh, it will save you every single time. So opening disc shoes, and then plant, water every day or every other day, row cover the whole field, and yes, big pieces of row cover, but that guarantees 100% germination. And after it germinated, before it germinated, we would be checking every single day. And actually, if you plant beets with carrots, when the beets germinate, it's time to flame. And so we also plant radishes with beets, and so when the radishes germinate, it's time to flame the beets. So that's kind of how we did our kind of, making sure we were on top of it with the flaming aspect. All right, so beets germinate, go out, pull the covers off, flame the entire field, and then the carrots all pop up. You're weed-free for probably the first 10 to 15, 20 days if you've done a good job with all your pre-prep. Now, you will go ahead and if you can basket weed, if you have baskets, basket weeding is great. If you don't have baskets, just using even a wheel hoe and running through there. But at this time now, when the carrots are up about, let's say that much, get your first true leaf or so, you can start tine weeding. And then after that, we do a weekly tine weeding, put some shovels in there to kind of hill them up a little bit. If you've got finger weeders, gosh, they're great. They do an excellent job. So there's a ton of resources out there on weeding, and one of my favorite is one called, let's see if I can pull it up here for you all. And it's free resource from Sayre. So it's called Steel in the Field. Excellent book. It's out of print, but you can download the file. Excellent information. A little bit dated, but it's still got some excellent information about, different things and that sort of stuff. So that's that. Hope that was helpful. Not too long, kind of scatterbrained. But the other thing I had was, I read this article today. I thought it was fascinating. I'm going to link to it in the show notes, but there's a great little article and video on how mycelium could replace plastic. So I thought it was super cool. Definitely made me think. I'm always thinking about other types of farming. I think as a farmer, mainly a vegetable farmer. I mean, we've raised hay. We did some cover crops, obviously, and we had some animals and that kind of stuff. But there's so many types of farming out there I just don't get exposed to. So something like this is always trying to expand my mind and what I'm thinking about. So I'll definitely link to this article too. Thought it was fascinating. The video is super cool. How they can grow with a fungus, like a material, anything from like a rubber to, a really hard type of, mycelium or plastic you can actually sit on. So, and it's basically grow to size so that the thing grows and then you just cook it and it stops growing and it forms really hard. So I thought that was fascinating. I'll leave you with that. And I hope you guys have a great evening and looking forward to a great week as well. So have a good night. Like, share, comment below, leave more questions. I love the people who are actually asking questions. I said I was going to go live earlier, so people were asking questions, which was great. And looking forward to getting more questions this week. All right. You have